Although I like Xiao He, I can't accept it. This is a rare contracted beast. He will be your assistant in the future. You are busy for your cultivation, how about this? This little guy is clearly in the process of activating his bloodline. He'll take care of him for a while. Bu Saran petted Xiao He. At that moment, a figure appeared from a nearby bamboo house. It was a bald head. He said excitedly, "Second senior sister, we can eat now." Bu Saran pointed to a bamboo house and said to Yang Chen, "Little junior brother, the dining hall is at Little Baldy's place. The kitchen is behind. He's a good cook." When Yang Chen arrived at the dining hall, he was stunned. The dining hall had a table and chairs made of red bamboo. The table was square and large, but there was only a small piece of roasted meat on it. The piece of meat was small. How could this be enough for everyone? Yang Chen thought that this piece of meat was not enough for himself. But, Little Baldy and Shen Langran were staring at the meat, their eyes wide. Although they looked like they were drooling, they didn't move. Yang Chen, Jianwok, and Bu Saran sat down. When Bu Saran sat down, Little Baldy couldn't wait and said, "Let's split the meat." Bu Saran looked at Little Baldy, and said, "It's little junior brother's first day. He'll let her off this time." Little Baldy nodded. When the moment was available, Yang Chen asked, "Second senior sister, I heard the master isn't here." Bu Saran chuckled, her voice mocking. "Who cares about that old thing? It's best if he dies out there." Yang Chen was confused. Before Yang Chen could ask, Shen Langran said to Yang Chen with a smile, "Little junior brother, the master has never cared about our cultivation. Just don't expect anything from him. According to that old man, you have to rely on yourself." Yang Chen felt a sense of foreboding. Bu Saran coldly stared at Shen Langran, and coldly said, "You still have the nerve to say that. Why didn't you bring him back?" Shen Langran smiled wryly. "Saran, you know, he promised me that he would return to the mountain, but then, he disappeared." Bu Saran was still angry. Shen Langran dared not speak. Luckily, Little Baldy and Shower came in. Otherwise, Shen Langran would have gotten it bad. After they sat down, Shower lowered her head, pouting. She was clearly unhappy. Bu Saran glanced at the little girl and said sternly, "Let's begin." After pausing, Bu Saran said, "Little junior brother is the youngest. You guys need to take care of him. As for cultivation, third senior brother, you're in charge of guiding Yang Chen. Since the little junior brother's cultivation is low, he can focus on cultivation. No other tasks will be assigned." As soon as Bu Saran finished speaking, Little Baldy and Shower's eyes widened in disbelief. "That's unfair. She's even older than me. Why do they get to do nothing?" Little Baldy was unhappy. He thought that Yang Chen and Jianwok would help him. Bu Saran coldly said, "You still have the nerve to complain. If it wasn't for the little junior brother, you wouldn't even have food." Shower didn't dare to protest. Yang Chen's head hurt. Had just come to the mountain, and had already caused conflict. Shen Langran was indifferent. Bu Saran then looked at Jianwok and said strangely, "I don't know what the old thing is thinking. Little Wok's 5 souls are so good, why didn't he take him as a formal disciple? No one would dare to trespass into our fire mountain. From now on, you'll follow Little Baldy. Learn how to take care of the bamboo. This is too unfair. He's strong, so why does he get to just guard a few bamboos? Second senior sister, can't my task be reduced? How is it fair? Why does he only guard a few, but I have to cut 100? Yang Chen finally understood. They each had their own tasks. Yang Chen knew how hard it was to cut bamboo. It was not too difficult for Jianwok to cut a few, but for her to cut 100 was difficult. 100 is not enough. I'm being nice by not increasing it. Bu Saran glared at Shower. Shower didn't dare to say anything. Cutting 100 pieces of bamboo was her limit. Bu Saran took out a bottle with a glowing blue liquid and said, "Little Baldy, little junior brother and Little Wok's bodies are a bit weak. From now on, give them meat each day." Finally, some good news. Little Baldy and Shower smiled. "We get meat every day." But they also thought that Yang Chen and Jianwok were chosen by the wind god. They must be extremely strong. But Shower didn't dare to say it out loud. Bu Saran then looked at Yang Chen and Jianwok and said, "Focus on your cultivation. Don't go around on the mountain. Some places are still too dangerous for you." Yang Chen and Jianwok nodded. Yang Chen felt that there might be some dangerous or forbidden areas. Although we are the smallest group on the mountain, we are very strong. We are from Dongchuan. There must be a reason for the lack of people. The wild bamboo alone was already an eye-opener for Yang Chen. Yang Chen also noticed that after he had come to the mountain, Rong Lao had not spoken a single word. It was clearly a bit suspicious. "Now, let's share the meat." Suddenly, Bu Saran sliced the meat with her hand and a blue light appeared. The piece of meat was sliced apart, but the wooden plate underneath didn't even have a scratch. With just this one strike, Yang Chen was amazed. Second senior sister was indeed powerful. No wonder third and fourth senior brother, even the world fears it. Bu Sulan, having cut this piece of meat, about 1/3 of the roasted meat, tossed it in front of Yang Chen. This is yours. The faces of Shen Langran, Xiao Guangtu, and Xiaoer all showed discontent. This is too unfair. Why does junior brother get so much? Taking up almost 1/3 of the meat, Yang Chen was a bit embarrassed. It's just a piece of roasted meat, is it really necessary? Ignoring the complaints, Bu Sulan continued to distribute the meat. The rest of the meat was divided amongst everyone else, except for Yang Chen, almost equal portions. The impatient Xiao grabbed a small piece of roasted meat in a flash. She took a small bite, looking very satisfied. Xiao Guangtu did the same, grabbing a small piece of roasted meat and taking a bite. Yang Chen realized that the piece of meat divided by his second senior sister must be something special. If he wasn't mistaken, it should be a high-level monster's meat. Seeing Jianhua's knowing eyes, Yang Chen lifted the meat in front of him and took a big bite. Seeing Yang Chen gobble down the meat, the other senior brothers and sisters stopped eating. They coldly stared at Yang Chen, their expressions changing. Yang Chen's face turned red, as if his mouth was filled with a ball of blazing fire. Yang Chen could clearly feel that the meat he ate was not ordinary. It was an explosive ball of energy. Yang Chen quickly used the holy energy in his dantian. He protected his mouth while tightly wrapping the meat with his holy energy. He couldn't digest it at all. Yang Chen was in a dilemma. Should he spit it out? That would be embarrassing. In desperation, Yang Chen swallowed the meat down. The meat, like a terrible flame, went down. It felt even worse than poison going down. His stomach felt like it was being torn apart. A faint voice came from Yang Chen's ear. Master, quickly use your bloodline. Yang Chen quickly controlled his bloodline power to wrap the meat in his stomach. Luckily, the bloodline could digest it. As it slowly digested, the explosive energy spread throughout Yang Chen's body. Yang Chen clearly felt his flesh and bones become stronger. Xiao Guangtu gave a thumbs up, seeing that Yang Chen had managed to digest the meat. Xiaoer stared at Yang Chen in confusion, wondering how he managed to swallow such a large piece of meat. Bu Sulan smiled seeing that Yang Chen was okay. She chewed on the meat, while Shen Langran nodded in approval. Yang Chen, not daring to be reckless anymore, ate like the others, taking a small bite. He chewed carefully, discovering that each chew was releasing a wild power. It was being absorbed into his body. No wonder Xiao Guangtu was so excited about eating meat. This roasted meat was definitely not ordinary. A moment later, everyone except for Yang Chen had finished eating. Yang Chen still had a lot of meat left. Xiao Guangtu and Xiaoer stared at him expectantly. He finished the rest of the meat. Feeling refreshed, Yang Chen felt that his body had grown much stronger. The person who had benefited the most was Jianhua. He was also quite powerful. Thinking about eating meat every day, Yang Chen was glad that he joined the Fire Sect. The Fire Sect was the best. Seeing Yang Chen finish, Xiao Guangtu smiled. Little brother, was the meat good? Yang Chen did not pay attention to the taste, but immediately praised. Third and fourth senior brother, you guys are amazing. It was delicious. Jianhua asked, senior brother, what kind of meat was this? Xiao Guangtu was about to speak, but was interrupted by Xiaoer. It was dragon meat. You guys never ate dragon meat before. Dragon meat. Yang Chen found it hard to believe. Impossible. Did we really kill a dragon? What? Jianhua was also stunned. They had just eaten a piece of dragon meat. Xiao Guangtu said matter-of-factly, why are you guys making such a big fuss? Don't you know there is a dragon pool on Fire Sect Mountain? There are many dragon beasts there, but there is only one true dragon. This dragon is an immature fire dragon. A fire dragon. Yang Chen and Jianhua shouted in unison. How unbelievable. Our mountain has a dragon pool, and there is a fire dragon. Does it mean we have dragon meat to eat every day? Yang Chen realized that the Fire Sect was beyond his imagination. No wonder they were able to stand on top of all the other great forces. After their simple and luxurious meal, Jianhua was taken away by the fourth senior brother, Xiao Guangtu, to help renovate the bamboo house for Yang Chen. Yang Chen was led by his third senior brother, Shen Langran, to a place. It was a very dense spiritual place. He was told that from now on his training would be led by Shen Langran. Yang Chen had high expectations, hoping that he would be taught some advanced techniques. But, to his surprise, Shen Langran led him to a remote spiritual area. Shen Langran only said that he should cultivate here. Then he turned and left. Yang Chen asked, what should I cultivate? Shen Langran looked at Yang Chen as if he was an idiot. You don't even know what to cultivate. I'll be honest. You are still in the Hotian realm. You should focus on the foundation. Your Dantian is not fully developed. Yang Chen was shocked. Did the Dantian have to be completely transformed to reach the Xiantian realm? How many in Dongchuan could do that? With the Kentian Jing, he was not worried. Before going up the mountain, he was thinking of going to Dongquan's secret realm again. He slapped his forehead. Shen Langran suddenly remembered. It's my fault, I forgot that you were brought up from the eastern wilderness. There are fewer natural treasures here. So, stay here and fully transform your Dantian first. After that, Shen Langran left. Yang Chen was left in a daze. Transform my Dantian. Third senior brother, are you joking? Luckily, Rong Lao. Even Rong Lao could only guide Yang Chen master. Don't underestimate this spiritual place. It's a treasure for you. Yang Chen realized that the place his senior brother had brought him to was not ordinary. But, after checking with his divine sense, he didn't find anything special. Rong Lao, is there anything strange about this place? I didn't expect a spiritual mountain like this in a desolate place. This place is much more dangerous than it looks. Rong Lao then said, Master, don't underestimate this spiritual place. There is a very fierce competition. Yang Chen couldn't believe it. He didn't sense any competition at all. If my left eye was healed, I would have been able to see it. A powerful cultivator sealed a lot of natural treasures under the spiritual place. Even without the ability to absorb the treasures, the natural energy will naturally be absorbed into your body. Yang Chen was shocked. He never thought that there was a large amount of natural energy under this place. It must be my mysterious teacher who set this up. No wonder Xiao Yunyang always said that the fire sect is the most mysterious and unpredictable force in Dongchuan. It's because they have such a great place. He did not need to go to Yiyun Gorge. Yang Chen sat down and began to absorb the spiritual energy. As he cultivated, he could clearly see the energy rising up from the ground and entering his body. There is too much. And it's too easy. At this rate, his Dantian would become a spiritual palace in less than a month. This was unbelievable. No wonder they are all so talented in the mountain. He realized all the disciples in the fire sect must all have a very high level in the Dantian cultivation. After a while, Yang Chen settled his mind and focused on his cultivation. While improving his cultivation, he could also feel that his Dantian was also evolving. Unknowingly, 2 hours had passed. Yang Chen decided that he would not sleep and continue cultivating here tonight. Suddenly, there was a small disturbance. Xiao ran into the bamboo forest and shouted, Little brother, you're so annoying. It's time to eat. You need to eat, I shouldn't have to call you. Yang Chen had wanted to continue cultivating. But, remembering the meat, he quickly got up and smiled. Fifth senior sister, sorry to trouble you. By the way, what are we eating tonight? Hearing about food, Xiao immediately perked up. We have meat tonight. Meat again. Yang Chen wondered, didn't his second senior sister say that they were only going to eat meat once a day? When Yang Chen arrived at the dining hall, he was shocked. Every senior brother and sister, including Jin Wok, had a large piece of roasted meat in front of them. The size of the meat was even larger than the piece Xiao had. It was dinner time, and the second senior sister spoke. Eat. Xiao Guangtu was the fastest. He quickly grabbed a large piece of meat. This is definitely not the fire dragon meat from lunch. Yang Chen thought. Yang Chen reached out and grabbed a piece of meat. He took a bite. The meat was delicious, and with every bite, Yang Chen could feel a strange energy flowing into his body. Although it was not as powerful as the fire dragon meat from lunch, it was not ordinary monster meat. Yang Chen remembered that the fourth senior brother had talked about the dragon pool. This should be a monster that contains some dragon blood. Although it can't compare to a true dragon, even the core disciples of the great sects in Dongchuan would have a hard time getting this meat. If this got out, it would be chaos. There was so much meat in front of them. It looked like they had killed another dragon beast. To Yang Chen's surprise, everyone finished their meat quickly, without feeling full. The meat was turned into energy that flowed into their bodies. Just as everyone was about to leave, Bu Sulan spoke. There will be a 10th Ascendant celebration for the Dongchuan Empire in 6 months. Whoever does well this time, will be allowed to go down the mountain. Xiao Guangtu was excited. He grabbed Shen Langren's arm. Third senior brother, please take me down the mountain this time. Xiao also pleaded. I want to go down the mountain too. Shen Langren said. You guys should ask second senior sister. I don't know if you will be allowed down the mountain. Yang Chen was confused. What was so good about going down the mountain? He had been on the mountain since he was a child, and had never been down. He had heard that his third senior brother had gone down the mountain and made a big name for himself in Dongchuan. Xiao just wanted to be more active. Hearing about the 10th Ascendant celebration, Yang Chen was shocked. It was enough to prove the true power of the Dongchuan Empire. Seeing Yang Chen's indifferent attitude, Xiao was confused. Little brother, don't you want to go down the mountain? Yang Chen smiled, my cultivation isn't good enough. I'm afraid that if I go down, I would be shaming the fire sect. It's better for me to focus on improving my cultivation. You are much better than these two. Shen Langran praised him. Work hard, the future of the fire sect will depend on you. Yang Chen quickly waved his hand. With all the senior brothers and sisters, the fire sect is already very strong. We don't need any support. Shen Langran smiled knowingly. Yang Chen sensed something bad. He asked, third senior brother, is something going on? Shen Langran nodded. When I went down the mountain last time, I met senior brother. He said that Dongchuan is not going to be peaceful. The old guys are getting restless. After saving power for so many years, they're starting to show their claws. Yang Chen assumed that this meant some kind of conflict between factions in Dongchuan. But then, Shen Langran told him the truth, and Yang Chen realized, things were much bigger than he imagined. During the 10th Ascendier celebration, there will be a major event. The daughter of the leader of the 7 great sects is going to be betrothed. The betrothal will be a great opportunity for the 10,000 forces to show their strength. Not even 30 years old, she has already reached the king realm. Her father is extremely powerful. If the 7 great sects are in alliance, it would mean that 2 of the 4 great powers of Dongchuan are working together. What does this mean? The ambitious Dongchuan Empire wants to break the current structure and reshuffle the deck. The cake was being redivided. It was said that apart from the 7 celestial sects, the Tahi sect, a second-tier force, and the Xian kingdom had secretly reached an agreement with the Dongchuan Empire. Senior brother speculated that because of the unique nature of the academy, the Dongchuan Empire's main target was probably the academy's students. Or more precisely, it was us. Yang Chen's head throbbed after hearing this. He felt like he was about to be dragged into a massive conflict right after joining the fire sect. Amidst the dangerous chaos, Yang Chen, who was originally feeling carefree, became anxious. He was only at the first level of the celestial core realm. At this cultivation level, he was nothing. After leaving the dining hall, Yang Chen, in a heavy mood, followed Jianwok, choosing not to go to his own courtyard, but instead, he remembered Jianwok was injured. There is no time to rest, let's go to the Zizhu Spirit Training Grounds. After listening to Yang Chen describe its benefits, Jianwok looked around in amazement. It was unbelievable because Jianwok was already at the peak of the celestial origin realm. If he were to absorb the essence of the Z mansion, he could easily enter a completely new realm. The first realm of the innate, the Z mansion realm. In simple terms, it was transcending the mortal realm. Yang Chen never dreamed that after he left the training grounds, every single one of his actions fell into the eyes of one person. Unbeknownst to him, this person was sitting on top of a bald mountain in the fire sect. If Yang Chen's senior brothers or sisters were to see this figure, they would recognize him immediately as their teacher, the leader of the fire sect. No one knew the leader's true identity. The old man continued to mutter to himself, a great genius never lacks opportunities. It seems the old geezer at the top has some ability. The young master has many good things on him. Just then, a gust of black wind passed by, and a black figure suddenly appeared. The old man turned around, his face darkening, and yelled, "Why are you here?" The black figure let out a strange, old chuckle and said, "Did you want to have a fight? With your skills, you jerk." The old man's face turned red with anger. "Are you leaving or not?" The black figure laughed. "Why so excited? We're brothers after all." The old man's face darkened. "Get out. Or else, I'm going to report you." All right. The black figure lazily said, "I was just passing by. I came to see how you were. You sure you weren't coming to see the young master?" The old man said sarcastically, "Don't worry, he's doing well." The mention of the young master made the black figure look a little sad. "You're still so strict. You can't make a strong fighter without pressure." The old man also looked serious. "Do you think I'm stupid? How can I not know that? 2 of the 7 star demons have entered the celestial book world. The young master's aura is like a beacon. They will find him sooner or later." "So what?" the black figure asked. "So one of them is suitable, and the other is an unknown variable." The old man sighed helplessly, "and the young master is still in the innate realm. He needs to grow up quickly. Time is of the essence, but you can't rush it," the black figure said after a pause. "Don't interfere too much, or you'll regret it." The old man looked at the black figure coldly. "Mind your own business. You don't need to tell me how to raise the young master. Just take care." Suddenly, the black figure slowly faded away, as if it vanished into thin air. "Old man," a voice lingered, "the young master has an ancient spiritual weapon, the Kuei Xin Old Chi Spirit King. You need to take care of it. It's irreplaceable." The old man, with a thoughtful look, turned and left. In a blink of an eye, Yang Chen had been on the mountain for a month. During this month, he had been training in the Zizhu forest. His dantian had been refined by almost a third. At this rate, in another 2 months, his dantian would transform. It would transform into a Z mansion. He was also familiar with everything on the mountain. His third senior brother was mysterious and unpredictable. Sometimes he didn't even show up for meals. Jianwuk was with his fourth senior brother Xiao Wang. They were looking at bamboo all day. Even Xiao'er was no exception. She just ate and chopped bamboo all day long. At first, Yang Chen didn't understand why, but after listening to Jianwuk's explanation, he finally understood. The bamboo was full of spiritual energy. It could strengthen the body and was also a special form of cultivation. Jianwuk had even created a move, incorporating his spiritual powers into it. Chopping bamboo was much easier than before. One day, after breakfast, Yang Chen went to the Zizhu forest as usual. He sat down on the prayer mat and began to cultivate. Yang Chen suddenly discovered that the innate energy he absorbed wasn't all being absorbed into his dantian. A part of it floated to his back, and was being absorbed by the Blackwood sword. The Blackwood sword is just an accessory. Why is it absorbing energy? Just when Yang Chen was puzzled, he heard Ron Lao's voice. It seems this is a sign. Master, your accessory might be about to open its spirit. Open its spirit. Yang Chen was excited but also puzzled. A spiritual item opening its spirit meant that it had the potential to become a true spiritual weapon. The chances are very low, Ron Lao continued, but I've never heard of any spiritual object needing to absorb innate energy. Ron Lao explained, Master, it was a lucky coincidence. Usually, spiritual objects need a lot of power to open their spirit. The higher the quality of the energy absorbed during the process, the higher its potential and speed. I recommend you use your spiritual energy to refine the Blackwood sword. Then, with the help of innate energy, it has a very high chance of developing a spirit. That's fantastic. Yang Chen was ecstatic. Focusing his mind, he used the cultivation technique to release the innate energy from his dantian, and channeled his own spiritual energy. It poured into the Blackwood sword. The entire sword glowed with a white light. The entire process took half a day. After successfully opening its spirit, Yang Chen followed Ron Lao's instructions to integrate his spiritual essence into the sword. Yang Chen felt a connection to the sword. If the Blackwood sword really gave birth to a spirit, then Yang Chen would possess a real spiritual weapon. Of course, there were ranks of spiritual weapons, but even the lowest ranked ones were incredibly rare. In Dongchuan, even the top experts of the 4 major forces, not to mention second-tier forces, might not have a spiritual weapon. Moreover, a spiritual weapon they refined themselves was different from one they obtained elsewhere. For example, even if Yang Chen had obtained the Kueishing Tower, even with Ron Lao's help, he still couldn't fully control the Kueishing Tower because he couldn't refine the Kueishing Tower's energy. Only by reaching the Z Mansion realm and becoming an innate cultivator could he gradually refine the Kueishing Tower. According to Ron Lao, the Kueishing Tower had 9 different qualities. Only by completely refining them could he gain full control of the Kueishing Tower. For Yang Chen, refining the Kueishing Tower's 9 qualities was difficult. Even if he reached the Z Mansion realm, it would take a long time. But the spiritual weapon he refined himself was different. For example, the Blackwood sword. Once it gained a spirit, regardless of the number of qualities it possessed, he could control it, without any restrictions because the Blackwood sword had successfully opened its spirit. Yang Chen was in a good mood. Ron Lao silently infused an extremely powerful rune, making the Blackwood sword a true spiritual weapon. Yang Chen was so excited he missed lunch. At this time, all of the Fire Sect members except Yang Chen were gathered in the dining hall. Because Yang Chen hadn't come, everyone was a little upset. They had waited for a long time, and Xiao'er was starting to get annoyed. Usually, if he was late, he would be punished. It seems like the second senior brother is too biased. This is so unfair. After waiting for a while longer, the second senior brother looked towards Xiao'er and smiled. Xiao'er, could you please take Yang Chen's meal to the Zizhu forest? He must be in a crucial moment of cultivation. Why do I have to deliver food? Xiao'er said grumbling. The second senior brother smiled and Xiao'er didn't dare to talk back. The little bald guy made up his mind that he must find a way to learn how to please more than people. It had only been a month, and his junior brother had already won the favor of everyone in the Fire Sect. Jianwuk was quiet. He was curious about how the second senior brother was so nice to his brother. Qing didn't even receive treatment like this, while Shenlangran was munching on a bamboo shoots. Our Fire Sect only has 2 things, too bad. That is, roasted bamboo shoots. Don't underestimate these roasted bamboo shoots. The energy they contain is comparable to dragon meat. When they were almost done eating, Shen Langran suddenly looked at Jian Wok. Little Wok, your brother is a fire attribute cultivator, right? He hasn't comprehended the true meaning, has he? Jian Wok was a little embarrassed and replied, third senior brother. My brother is indeed a fire attribute cultivator, but he has comprehended dark arts, and the first level of the body refinement technique. Shen Langran was stunned. Even Xiao Guang Tu and Xiao Er stopped eating. They all looked at Jian Wok, because they thought Yang Chen was a simple fire-type cultivator. They didn't expect him to have dark and body refining power. In Dongchuan, even a dual-attribute celestial Taoist was extremely rare. Shen Langran smiled, so that's why little junior brother was only at the first level of the celestial core realm. Turns out, he's a triple-attribute celestial Taoist. Everyone knew that the difficulty of cultivating for a dual-attribute celestial Taoist was several times higher than a single-attribute one. As for a triple-attribute celestial Taoist, it's even harder. What a little monster. Shen Langran said in shock, I was originally planning on having him visit the water sect to gain a deeper understanding, but it seems we need to let him use the water sect's treasures too. Bu Shuran nodded in agreement, little Wok, although we have some training grounds on the mountain, they are mostly for innate cultivators. Tonight, when you see your brother, tell him that once he reaches the Z Mansion realm, he should go to the water sect. Jian Wok was overjoyed. Didn't that mean he could also visit the water sect? I want to go too. Xiao Er jumped up. I heard the water sect is a lot of fun. Bu Shuran's face darkened. Xiao Er, the so-called training grounds in the water sect aren't that useful for you. Your only task right now is to chop bamboo. When you can easily chop bamboos a day, then you can go to the Z Mansion realm. Xiao Er pouted and didn't dare to say anything. The little bald guy secretly sighed. Actually, Xiao Er didn't know that although her dantian was fully refined, her physical strength couldn't keep up due to her young age. That's why Bu Shuran was always forcing her to chop bamboo. Not long after, Yang Chen, who had refined the Blackwood sword, realized that he had missed lunch. He was just about to leave the Zizhu forest when he saw someone carrying a basket. Xiao Er angrily tossed the basket into Yang Chen's arms, and turned around to leave. Yang Chen didn't even have time to call her back. Did I do something to offend her? Yang Chen opened the basket and realized that it was full of roasted bamboo shoots. Is it because I delivered food to her? But that doesn't seem likely. Yang Chen didn't think too much of it and continued to cultivate after eating. Although the Blackwood sword had opened its spirit, it was still absorbing innate energy. According to Rong Lao, it was refining its spirit. It was a long process. Before p.m., Jian Wok arrived at the Zizhu forest. He also brought dinner. It was also roasted bamboo shoots. Jian Wok added that the second senior brother and third senior brother told him that the water sect has a blue wheel sword and a soul hall. Yang Chen knew that those three places were the main cultivation locations of the water sect. He was just wondering how to awaken the true meaning. Now he knew. He didn't expect the water sect to have such a place. He wanted to awaken the true meaning. As for the God Hall and the Soul Hall, Yang Chen wasn't too concerned about it. He had already mastered the dark arts. At the innate realm, no matter the cultivator, they could only master one special technique. As for the innate realm, it allowed them to integrate their different special techniques into the one they had mastered, thus enhancing its power. And Yang Chen's special technique was the legendary dark arts. He didn't need to change his technique. As for the body refinement technique, he never cared about that. He wanted to learn a more powerful body refinement technique. Of course, it would be best if he could comprehend a stronger body refinement technique. What he needed most was to understand the true meaning, and secondly, was a fire-type technique. According to Rong Lao, since he was controlling the origin fire, he needed a very powerful fire-type technique to support his future battles. Although Yang Chen was impatient to visit the water sect, his second senior brother told him that he could only go when his dantian was completely transformed into a Z mansion. This made Yang Chen even more motivated. What originally required 2 months of cultivation, Yang Chen completed in only 1.5 months. For the past 1.5 months, Yang Chen had barely left the Zizhu forest. The meals were mainly delivered by Xiao Er and Jian Wok, and his dantian was finally about to turn into the Z mansion. At most, half a day before the sky gets dark, Jian Wok brought dinner. He saw that Yang Chen was still training, so he didn't bother him. Instead, he put down the basket and started cultivating next to Yang Chen. At this moment, all of Yang Chen's attention was on his dantian. Or rather, his Z mansion. In this brand new Z mansion, the energy was immense, with his spiritual energy, blood, the Taigu Mo Long Muhan, and his silent accessory, all reacting. Yang Chen was shocked. The four were rotating in a unique way. It was clear that the essence of his dantian was being transformed, and was integrating with the four powers, strengthening them. And the Taigu Mo Long Wuhan was very unusual. Yang Chen knew that unless it was interested in something, it would never react. This time, if I do not get the ultimate reward, then I might use the techniques of the Taigu Mo Long Wuhan. But clearly, it wasn't the Yang Chen that Pu Wei had been expecting. Instead of a similarly powerful five souls, it was his Taigu Mo Long Wuhan that was active. It took a while before the Taigu Mo Long Wuhan calmed down. After it stopped, Yang Chen was a bit dumbfounded. What was this supposed to mean? He was still waiting for something to happen, yet, nothing came. Just as Yang Chen was about to give up and focus on his five souls, his Taigu Mo Long Wuhan made another move. A black mist suddenly emerged. This mist was extremely dark and sinister, and it went straight through his body. It went directly into Yang Chen's consciousness. Startled, he found that this cold black matter split into two, merging into his soul and his spirit. Before Yang Chen could react, his soul and his spirit trembled violently. His soul, which was originally a small flame, grew a little bigger, and Yang Chen felt his spirit had grown much stronger as well. He understood. That black matter was energy released by the Taigu Mo Long Wuhan to strengthen his soul and spirit. A moment later, everything calmed down. Yang Chen was shocked by this sudden gain. As his horizons broadened and his cultivation grew, he began to realize how unfathomable the Taigu Mo Long Wuhan was. Its soul and spirit were already at the innate level. Even with rare and powerful treasures, it was difficult to improve them, yet the Taigu Mo Long Wuhan had done it. When Yang Chen came back to his senses, he found that his five souls were still violently fluctuating. It was trying to break free. Soon, Yang Chen's expression changed, because a power within his five souls, the killing sword soul, was growing stronger. Before long, it was gone. What's going on? My killing sword soul is gone. Could it have returned to the spirit world? Panicked, Yang Chen used his spirit sense, and discovered that the killing sword soul was never there in the first place. Yang Chen was now frantic. He knew that the killing sword soul was one of his greatest powers. When he used the Lin He sword art with the killing sword soul, he was confident he could kill anyone who was not at a very high level. Even if Yang Chen was only at the first level of the Heavenly River realm, with the help of the killing sword soul, he could easily defeat an opponent who was at the 6th level. But now, it was gone. Yang Chen didn't believe that it had just vanished into thin air. But he couldn't sense it anywhere. Could it only be found in his sword? Because of the unique nature of the five souls, Yang Chen couldn't truly control them, so he could only use his spirit sense to control the illusory forms of the souls. But just as Yang Chen was about to control his five souls, he suddenly found more items in his consciousness. There was a black sword, a book, and some black spirit food. Yang Chen was shocked. He felt as if he was surrounded by blades, trapped in a sea of sand. It took a lot of effort for Yang Chen to regain his senses. That was terrifying. But at the same time, Yang Chen was overjoyed, because the little black sword was actually a shadow of silent killing intent. This was a special shadow formed from pure killing intent, something Yang Chen had never heard of. After getting familiar with this silent killing intent, Yang Chen left his consciousness. It was dark outside. Yang Chen saw Jian Wat cultivating in front of their bamboo house, and a basket of food was beside him. But Yang Chen wasn't in the mood to eat, so he immediately asked, "Old Rong, have you heard of silent killing intent?" Old Rong was puzzled. "Why are you asking about this?" After some thought, Old Rong replied, "Master, where did you hear about silent killing intent? It's like a killing thought, and only extreme cultivators are able to comprehend killing thoughts. They are powerful but dangerous." Yang Chen vaguely understood. Old Rong probably hadn't heard of it either. He had no choice but to continue asking, "Old Rong, what if the silent killing intent is a kind of sword intent?" Old Rong was startled, and quickly asked, "Master, have you comprehended sword intent?" "That's impossible." Old Rong knew that if Yang Chen had comprehended sword intent, he would have been aware of it immediately, but Old Rong didn't understand. Yang Chen's silent killing intent wasn't something he had comprehended himself. It was formed by the essence of his killing sword soul. After searching his memories, Old Rong found that there was no information related to the silent killing intent. He immediately said, "Master, what exactly is this silent killing intent?" Yang Chen didn't care too much about that, and immediately tried to activate the silent killing intent. But as soon as he activated it, he noticed that something was wrong, because just activating the silent killing intent had consumed 1/3 of his spirit power, which was already at the peak of the innate level. At the same time, a terrifying aura erupted from Yang Chen, causing the surrounding beasts to tremble in fear. Jianwuk was startled, and looked at his brother with concern. He didn't understand what was happening with his brother. The entire Huamen mountain was shaken. Even the elders were disturbed. The elders were shocked. They couldn't figure out why such a terrifying killing intent had appeared on Huamen mountain, and all focused their attention on the Zizhu forest. Busu Ran and Xin Lang Ran flew toward the Zizhu forest, worried that Yang Chen was in trouble. As for old Rome, he was completely stunned. He could truly sense that this was indeed a special sword intent condensed from pure killing intent. After less than 2 breaths of time, Yang Chen's head began to spin, and he fell to the ground. His spirit had turned golden. It was too terrifying. What kind of sword intent was this? He had only been able to hold on for less than 2 breaths. This is bad. Helpless, Yang Chen turned to old Rome for help. Old Rome, my spirit is glowing gold. If there isn't anything to restore and nourish my spirit, heaven knows how long it will take to completely recover. Old Rome also looked worried. Such a terrifying sword intent is clearly something you can't control right now. Luckily, Yang Chen's spirit had reached the peak of the innate level. Old Rome took out a pill and fed it to Yang Chen. Master, your sword intent is too dangerous. Do not use it again until you get stronger. This was a special spiritual pill. Yang Chen immediately swallowed the pill and started to refine its power. As the power of the pill flowed into his spirit, Yang Chen's spirit began to slowly recover. Suddenly, 2 shadows appeared in the Zizhu forest. They noticed that Yang Chen was in bad shape. Busu Ran quickly asked, "What happened?" Shen Lang Ran cautiously scanned the surroundings with his spirit sense. Looking at his 2 senior brothers, Yang Chen explained, "I had just comprehended a kind of sword intent which requires a lot of spirit power to use. A sword intent that requires a lot of spirit power." Busu Ran was amazed. He had never seen such a terrifying sword intent before. Shen Lang Ran was also curious, and asked, "Little brother, what sword intent is it? Can you show it to us?" Yang Chen shook his head. "Third senior brother, I had only used it for 2 breaths, and my spirit is already exhausted. I'm not able to use it now. I can only show you after I have recovered my spirit." Seeing that there was nothing to worry about, Busu Ran smiled, "Little brother, the sword intent you have comprehended is very powerful. Your spirit power isn't strong enough, so before you reach the Zifu realm, don't try to use it again." Yang Chen nodded in agreement. Shen Lang Ran asked a few more questions. He could sense the power of the sword intent was very strong. "Don't cultivate tonight. Let's go back together." Busu Ran was still a bit worried. Just as Jianwuk ran over, supporting Yang Chen, they all left the Zizhu forest and returned to the bamboo building of Huamen Mountain. Yang Chen went straight to sleep. The next morning, because of his master's instructions, a special meat soup was prepared for Yang Chen. It was made with a special spiritual herb that greatly helped in restoring spirit power. For 5 days straight, Yang Chen didn't cultivate. Actually, he couldn't cultivate. Fortunately, with the help of the meat soup made by his little junior brother, his spirit had fully recovered in 5 days, instead of the month it was supposed to take. Yang Chen couldn't wait to leave the mountain. Accompanied by Jianwuk, he descended from Huamen Mountain, not to leave but to go to the Shuiyuan Mountains. Looking at the vastness of the Shuiyuan Mountains, Yang Chen felt a lot of emotions. It had only been 3 months, and his cultivation had improved to the 2nd level of the Heavenly River Realm, and his Dantian had been transformed to a Zifu. It was truly amazing. What made him even happier was that he had also obtained the Blackwood sword spirit and the silent killing intent. If it was before, even if he had gathered all of the available resources, he wouldn't be able to do it. He walked toward the Shuiyuan Mountains at a casual pace. Jianwuk, recalling something, said, "Bro, Little Black became gold." Yang Chen was confused. Jianwuk explained, "I heard 4th senior brother say that 2nd senior sister took Little Black to a place called Dragon's Cave. When it came back, it was gold." Yang Chen was still a bit confused. After he gave Little Black to his 2nd senior sister, he hadn't seen it. That little thing had become very cute. It ate even better than them. What? Yang Chen was surprised. He knew that as a beast's cultivation increased, their intelligence also increased. But, to be able to understand human speech, a beast had to be at least at the innate level. Before, Little Black could only communicate with Yang Chen through their spirits, and now, it could understand human language. Even though it had the bloodline of a divine beast, it was still only at the initial stages of the Wuzhong realm. This was truly unbelievable. It really became gold. Before, Yang Chen had been a little worried about Little Black. It seemed that its bloodline had been fully awakened. It had also entered its growth period. If Little Black could fully grow up, then it would be a great help. But Yang Chen knew that for a divine beast to fully grow up, he didn't know how many resources he would need to spend. Soon, along the path of the back mountain of Shuiyuan Mountain, Yang Chen and Jian Wuk arrived at the mountain peak that he had been to previously. Looking at the many students of Shuiyuan Mountain, Yang Chen noticed that their Huamen Mountain was much quieter. The place was lively. Yang Chen's first destination was Lan Jianfeng, because the Lan Lin sword was there. Not knowing that Lan Jianfeng was an inner peak, Yang Chen had no choice but to approach a female student who seemed easy to talk to. The female student was not happy being stopped by Yang Chen and Jian Wuk. She was about to question them, because it was a rule that all students and instructors who were out of their residence had to wear their uniform. Which peak are you two from? The female student asked. Shuiyuan is divided into Wu Hall. All the students belong to the Wu Hall. Realizing that they had been misunderstood, Yang Chen quickly said, "Senior sister, we are not from Shuiyuan." Before Yang Chen could say anything, the female student became wary. Who are you? How did you get up the mountain? When they did not respond, the female student prepared to attack. The commotion drew the attention of other Shuiyuan students, who all glared at Yang Chen and Jian Wuk. Yang Chen and Jian Wuk quickly explained themselves. The female student looked at Yang Chen and Jian Wuk and was even more confused, because this was Shuiyuan Mountain. How did these two low-level students manage to get here? Helpless, Yang Chen took out a red wooden nameplate. The Shuiyuan students were familiar with it, because they all had one, but their nameplates were all the same color, while Yang Chen's was red. You're from Huamen Mountain. The female student exclaimed. That's impossible. Huamen Mountain is notorious. And their nameplates are really from Huamen Mountain. Who are they? How do they have such low cultivations? The Shuiyuan students began to whisper, all of them glaring at Yang Chen and Jian Wuk. In the past, the monsters from Huamen Mountain had caused a lot of trouble at Shuiyuan Mountain. They even fought, and only the dean was able to quell the chaos. To ordinary Shuiyuan students, Huamen Mountain was a mysterious and terrifying place. Yang Chen was also stunned. He didn't expect his nameplate to be so useful. Are you Yang Chen? The female student suddenly recognized him. Yang Chen. Yes, it should be that Yang Chen. The Shuiyuan students were shocked, and started to look at them in awe. Ha ha. Yang Chen smiled. He didn't expect his name to be so famous. He looked at the surrounding students, and said, that's right, I am Yang Chen. Greetings senior brothers and sisters. We are here on our senior sister's orders to borrow the Azure Insight Wall. The cultivation of the soul is a complex process. Only after experiencing it firsthand can one understand its depths. Why is Lu Lan's energy so unstable? The girl suddenly said with a strange expression. The girl hesitated for a moment. Yang Chen, maybe you shouldn't go to Azure Sword Peak. Go to the Great Hall. The Wind God statue is in the Great Hall. Why? Yang Chen was confused. Feng Yuanzhang of our Mutang received special permission from the sect leader at Azure Sword Peak. Feng Yuanzhang. Yang Chen was stunned. He remembered Feng Yuanzhang was not from the Mutang. How did he get into the water department? And he's starting to integrate his insights. It was obvious that Feng Yuanzhang had broken through to the Zifu realm and was merging insights. Yang Chen, intrigued by the merging process, decided to go to Azure Sword Peak. Let's go and see. The girl said to Yang Chen. She didn't know how to persuade Yang Chen. In the Water Academy, going to a cultivation spot requires a lot of credits. Credits can only be obtained by completing the various tasks assigned by the Water Academy. Feng Yuanzhang didn't have the basics, but he was given special permission by the Mutang Master. She didn't dare disturb. Yang Chen, unaware of this, bid farewell to the Water Academy students. He headed towards Azure Sword Peak with Jian Wuk. But when he arrived, they were stopped. Even their identification badges were useless. It turned out that today, the person in charge of Azure Sword Peak was a Mutang instructor, who naturally didn't want Yang Chen to disturb the merge. The Mutang Master was overseeing Feng Yuanzhang. If Feng Yuanzhang was to earn the needed points himself, it would take at least half a year to have the chance to see the peak. Yang Chen was angry. I am here under the second sect leader's orders. He said with a stern voice. I am here under the second sect leader's orders. Teacher, are you really going to stop us? Yang Chen knew he couldn't show weakness, otherwise, he would be in trouble. Yang Chen's expression was hard. Mutang is. The instructor's face grew dark. This was too much. A mere disciple dared to defy him. He didn't want to make a move because he didn't want to create any problems. What should he do? Under pressure, he said Yang Chen, the process of merging insights cannot be disturbed. Under pressure, he said Yang Chen, the process of merging insights cannot be disturbed. Yang Chen quickly interjected, I am just here to see. I am not trying to disturb him. Are you misunderstanding? The Mutang instructor was left speechless. 3 days. Come back in 3 days. 3 days. Yang Chen said with a smirk. We're going in now. Go ahead and try if you dare. Yang Chen moved forward with Jianwak. You really want to do this? The instructor unleashed his terrifying aura. Yang Chen instantly felt like he was under a huge mountain. It was hard to even breathe. Yang Chen roared, activating his newly awakened silent killing intent. A terrifying murderous aura erupted from Yang Chen. It not only neutralized the pressure but also surged towards the Mutang instructor. The instructor's expression changed dramatically. He retreated several steps. He was terrified. Where did such a strong murderous intent come from? He could feel that in just one moment. The silent killing intent dissipated. His face was pale and was left with a great sense of exhaustion. At the same time, the entire Water Academy was alerted. Everyone felt that terrifying murderous intent. They turned towards Azure Sword Peak. On the higher peaks, strong auras rose, coming straight from Azure Sword Peak. It was obvious that something had happened. In the heart of Azure Sword Peak, a young man was meditating under a spinning blue disc. He suddenly coughed up blood. This was Feng Yuanzhang. The countless insights within the Azure Insight Wall were suddenly going crazy. They were attacking his spiritual sea. His spiritual sea was badly damaged. At the entrance of Azure Sword Peak, the Mutang instructor was staring at Yang Chen in disbelief. No wonder Firegate Mountain recruited this kid. He's a monster. The instructor was still stunned. Several figures descended from the sky. The leader was an old man with white hair. When he saw the old man, the Mutang master was relieved. Greetings, Vice Dean Jean. Vice Dean Jean looked around the wall and asked, what was that murderous intent from earlier? Yang Chen interrupted the instructor and said, that was me. You Water Academy are bullying us. That instructor was trying to suppress me. Such bullying. It's really something. This is not a good example. You are all words and no action. Yang Chen turned to leave. Vice Dean Jean was furious. How could someone at the Tianhao realm unleash such a terrifying murderous intent? He was also angry that he was threatened by a nobody. Stop. But Yang Chen already had put on the robes of the Water Academy. Who are you? The instructor, feeling a headache, said, he's Yang Chen, recruited by Firegate Mountain. When the Vice Dean heard, he felt like the world was collapsing. Vice Dean Jean thought of the troublemakers in Firegate Mountain. He shot a glare at the Mutang master. He wanted to tell Yang Chen to get out, afraid that he would return and complain. Vice Dean Jean calmed himself down and said, Yang Chen, our water and fire factions are one. We wouldn't suppress you without a reason. Sensing the hidden meaning, Yang Chen laughed. Why don't you ask this instructor? Helpless, the instructor recounted what had happened. Vice Dean Jean cursed the instructor, if only you let him in. He said that he wouldn't disrupt Feng Yuanzhang. Why is Feng Yuanzhang so weak? Just then, Feng Yuanzhang came out, his face pale and covered in blood. Yuanzhang. The instructor hurried to support him. What happened to you? Feng Yuanzhang looked miserable. I don't know what happened. The insights suddenly went crazy, and my spiritual sea was badly damaged. What? Vice Dean Jean and the other two old men were shocked. Everyone realized that the crazy insights were related to the murderous intent from earlier. The instructor glared at Yang Chen. He wanted to kill him. Feng Yuanzhang was highly valued by the Mutang master, and now his insights are ruined, his spiritual sea was almost destroyed. Vice Dean Jean's expression was grave. He knew it was not Yang Chen's fault. He should have never stopped Yang Chen. The murderous intent he displayed seemed like a protective talisman from Firegate Mountain. Yang Chen was happy to see Feng Yuanzhang in such a state. So what? I'm also here to understand the nature of the wall. What? You. Yang Chen yelled. Feng Yuanzhang is injured. You all should be ashamed. You all should also apologize to me. The instructor was livid. Vice Dean Jean felt that Yang Chen had gone too far. Yang Chen, are you not being too much? The other two old men were also unhappy. They stared at Yang Chen. Yang Chen felt pressure. At that moment, a voice came from the sky. A man with long, flowing hair appeared. He smiled. The Water Academy's leaders, including Vice Dean Jean, were shocked. I knew someone was bullying my junior brother, so I came to take a look. You old guys have no shame. You are a Vice Dean and an instructor, yet you tried to bully a junior. You are scum. Yang Chen was stunned. Third senior brother is too amazing. Those old fellows don't dare to challenge him. Get lost. All of you, get lost. Shen Langran, his face cold, scolded Vice Dean Jean. If it weren't for Elder Qing's sake, I would kill you all today. Vice Dean Jean and the others retreated with their tails between their legs. They didn't dare say a single word. Third senior brother, Yang Chen looked at Shen Langran with admiration. When will I be that powerful? Junior brother, hurry up and go study the insights. The stronger you are, the better. Shen Langran vanished. Yang Chen and Jianwuk headed towards the Azure Sword Peak. Jianwuk whispered, third senior brother is too awesome. He scolded the Vice Dean like a child. And they didn't dare to retort. Yang Chen smiled, I think something must have happened in the past. Otherwise they wouldn't act like this. But I bet the main reason is that their fists are not as big as our senior brother. That's the way things are. Jianwuk nodded. Reason is nothing. What matters is who has the biggest fist. Without strength, you have no power. In less than an hour, Yang Chen and Jianwuk saw a large wall. It was like a huge mirror, embedded in the mountain. It was a spinning disc. This is the Azure Inside Wall. It emits a faint blue light. The surface was smooth. As Yang Chen tried to touch it, he realized his spiritual sense was blocked. It's powerful. He couldn't even sense a thing. It seemed like obtaining insights was not as easy as he thought. It seems that the second sect leader was right. Yang Chen sighed to Jianwuk, only those who have awakened their insights can do something. Let's cultivate over there for now. Jianwuk nodded. According to the second sect leader, the wall was miraculous. Only those who have awakened their insights can obtain something. Yang Chen sat down in front of the wall, and placed his black wooden sword behind him. As he focused, he suddenly had a strange idea. What would happen if he used shortcuts? He had already entered the basics, and it was said to reveal the fundamental laws of everything. He was shocked to find that his spiritual sense could penetrate the wall effortlessly. He saw countless insights. They were all shaped differently. These insights were still. As Yang Chen's spiritual sense moved, it was like a general leading his troops to scout. This was incredible. This must be the power of shortcuts. Yang Chen knew that with his previous methods, he could never do this. His spiritual sense would be shattered by these insights, but now it was different. He could take his time and choose which insight he wanted. He was not trying to merge the insights into his physical body. He was trying to merge them into his silent killing intent. He had already awakened a strong intent. And his Dantian had transformed into a Zifu. He was qualified to merge with them. The air and the blue insight was very. As Yang Chen explored, he was greatly moved. Some of these insights were very famous. If he mastered them, he would be famous. Yang Chen spent half a day choosing insights. He decided on the rupture insight. The rupture insight was not the most suitable for silent killing intent, but he chose it because he had bigger plans. Like the silent killing intent, the rupture insight was an invisible power. It had the power of destruction. But the rupture insight had spatial attributes, as Yang Chen had already begun to understand space. If he could successfully merge this with his silent killing intent would have a massive increase in power. It would become unpredictable. Of course, Yang Chen's bigger hope was that if he succeeded in merging, in the future he could gain a trace of spatial power. Though it was easy for Yang Chen to learn the information about the insights, merging the rupture insight with his silent killing intent would not be easy, and it would be very dangerous. It would also depend on his spiritual C. The merging process was to take the insight, wrap it with spiritual sense, and forcefully pull it into his spiritual C, merging it into his own intent. The risks were obvious. After a moment of meditation, Yang Chen activated his spiritual sense to the maximum and wrapped the gray miniature sword. The rupture insight was not resisting at all, due to the shortcuts. But at the moment when the rupture insight entered his spiritual C, it finally awakened. It was very powerful. The rupture insight seemed to have awakened, and it released a dark gray light. It was a terrifying destructive aura. Yang Chen hurriedly unleashed his silent killing intent. The mini gray sword started trembling. At this moment, Yang Chen was extremely tense. Normally merging such a terrifying insight with his silent killing intent would not be difficult. But something felt off. Yang Chen clearly felt that the instant the silent killing intent touched the rupture insight, it released a black smoke, and began to. The annihilation seed was constantly trying to break free. It sensed the danger, the annihilation seed. It was desperately trying to move, but its growth was limited to only 2 star cycles. Then the gray little seed inside slowly calmed down. In less than a moment, the annihilation seed had vanished completely. Yang Chen couldn't even sense it in his spiritual see. Only the terrifying aura of annihilation remained. The annihilation seed wasn't just gone, it was silently absorbed. I did it. Yang Chen was in disbelief. He had made sure to thoroughly study everything there was to know about seed fusion before coming to the mountains. The stronger one's own seed was, the higher the success rate of merging with a simple seed. Usually, this process would only take 3 days, but if one's own seed was not strong enough, merging with a powerful seed would be a lot harder. Not only would there be great risk, even if one was successful, the process would be very arduous, taking at least days. It could even take a month. Attempting to merge a powerful seed while your own was weak, was basically suicide. It was impossible to succeed. Yet, Yang Chen had merged with the annihilation seed in less than an hour. It was insane. The annihilation seed was a legendary seed that contained the essence of space. The fact that he merged with such a powerful seed in less than an hour was something that no one would ever believe. Yang Chen took a deep breath, stood up, and looked at the sky. He was very moved. Bro, did it fail? Jianwuk rushed to Yang Chen's side, frantically asking, "It's okay. If it failed, we can just try again." Failed? What failed? Yang Chen asked, confused. Jianwuk was dumbfounded. How long had it been? Not even an hour. Jianwuk remembered very well that the second elder said seed merging required at least 3 days. Bro, did you really succeed? Jianwuk couldn't believe it. Yang Chen nodded very confidently. This is too fast. Jianwuk thought of his brother's talent, he could barely accept it. My brother must have merged with a simple seed. Let's go, our next stop is the deity statue. Yang Chen was in a good mood. Yang Chen left, Jianwuk followed closely behind him, whispering, "What seed did you merge with? Was it really the annihilation seed?" Yang Chen didn't hide it. Annihilation seed. Jianwuk was stunned, his eyes widened like lamps. He was stunned. Even though he wasn't a seed cultivator, he had heard the legend of the annihilation seed. Bro, you're not messing with me, right? Yang Chen smiled. Why would I lie to you? You're amazing. Jianwuk was filled with praise. Suddenly remembering something, Yang Chen asked, Little Wuk, our third stop is the Soul Hall, what are you going to merge with? I don't know. Jianwuk was confused. Can I even choose? Guess I'll just try my luck. Anything dark should do. Yang Chen suddenly changed his mind. He wasn't sure if his crystallized form could help Jianwuk, so he spoke mysteriously. You'll know when we get there. Jianwuk was anticipating his brother's methods. If he could merge with a powerful dark soul, his strength would greatly increase. Before long, Yang Chen and Jianwuk arrived at the Deity Cave. The Deity Cave was very important, and there were 2 powerful instructors stationed there. Yang Chen was lucky that the deity statue was located in the Deity Cave. 2 instructors were very surprised to see Yang Chen and Jianwuk from Fire Sect. Because of their position, the 2 instructors only registered their names and did not ask too many questions. Led by an instructor, Yang Chen and Jianwuk entered the depths. After passing through 2 special gates with restrictive inscriptions, they finally entered the Deity Cave. Yang Chen was surprised. The empty cave was nothing like he had imagined. There was no deity statue. After searching carefully, Yang Chen found a blurry shadow on a relatively flat stone wall. It looked like some kind of beast. Yang Chen couldn't believe it. Could the blurry beast shadow on the wall be the so-called deity statue? Just as Yang Chen was confused, the old voice of Ron Lao echoed. Master, it's unbelievable, it really is a Zongi beast. This image is definitely not simple. Yang Chen was a little perplexed. Zongi beast. He had never heard of that name before. Ron Lao smiled, Master. It's normal that you haven't heard of it. Even in the vast void, most cultivators in those great worlds don't know of Zongi beasts. Under the guidance of Ron Lao, Yang Chen finally understood. Zongi beast was a very rare Earth-type spirit beast, born with the ability to manipulate space. It can turn its body into an extremely terrifying entity, and they often live deep underground. It's impossible to capture them. Ron Lao also didn't know why the Zongi beast was born with spatial manipulation abilities. He suspected it might be related to the beast's bloodline. It could be related to spatial laws. As for the deity statue inside the deity cave, it was actually a Zongi beast that had been killed and sealed in the stone wall by a powerful cultivator. The so-called sealed was just a way for powerful cultivators to keep the remains of the beast. The deity statue was in fact a sealed corpse of a Zongi beast. Yang Chen was amazed and his horizons had expanded once again. On the one hand, he was amazed that the predecessors had left this behind for future generations. On the other, he was amazed that a big shot had actually thought of this idea. After calming down, Yang Chen focused his mind and started circulating his energy while touching the shadow on the wall. Thanks to the crystallization, Yang Chen's spiritual power was incredibly powerful and easily entered the deity statue. To Yang Chen's surprise, the earth-type energy within the deity statue was nothing compared to the spirit walls he had seen before. The spirit walls contained thousands of seeds, while the deity statue only contained about. This was likely related to the Eastern Earth Sect. However, after examining the earth-type energy, Yang Chen discovered that they were all very powerful. After carefully examining the earth-type energy in the deity statue, Yang Chen's heart couldn't calm down. These earth-type energies were much stronger than his own. If he were to forcefully merge with a strong earth-type energy, it would be very dangerous. There's another way, but I'm not sure if it will be successful. It will definitely take a lot of time. That is to use crystallization to forcefully extract a powerful earth-type energy from the deity statue, then refine it completely before using my own seed as a foundation, and incorporate it into the refined seed. After much thought, Yang Chen made his decision. The main reason was that he had his eyes on a legendary earth-type technique. Great Earth Imprisonment was an extremely powerful earth-type technique. If he could fully understand it, he could successfully incorporate his own seed into it. Yang Chen turned and said to Jian Wuk, "Little Wuk, I'm going to fuse with a powerful earth-type technique. It might take some time. You should go and practice on your own." Jian Wuk replied and went towards the entrance of the deity cave. He would stand guard for his brother. As expected, under the crystallization, Yang Chen easily extracted the most powerful earth-type energy from the deity statue. After entering his spiritual sea, the Great Earth Imprisonment technique began to act up. Its pulling force was extremely powerful. Luckily, Yang Chen's spiritual sea was strong enough. If a normal cultivator's spiritual sea were to be hit by such power, it would collapse, but Yang Chen's sea was only slightly shaken. Realizing that his sea was safe, he calmed down and focused on understanding the Great Earth Imprisonment. With the Great Earth Imprisonment technique already present, it was much easier to understand it. Even so, the immensely complex Great Earth Imprisonment technique took him 3 whole days. Is my comprehension really that bad? Yang Chen wondered. For a while now, whether it was cultivation or understanding a technique, he had been relying too much on the Kantian gene.